What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Dual Screens Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me is Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
I miss our old show. Let's go back to Nintendo again.
You already missed it. You already missed it. Well, on this week's show, Nintendo might have two new Wii U ports coming to the Switch on the horizon. PlayStation patented a new controller, and Xbox lands the biggest game of all time for Game Pass, sorry. And our wild card topic of the show reveals our greatest gaming ambitions of 2020. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Dual Screens Gamecast, episode 1. So let's for those of you that are new here, which is pretty much everybody because this is a brand new show. This is the Dual Screens Gamescast, a show where Andy and I, and sometimes a third wheel, go over the top stories from the big three game companies, and we debate who had the best and worst week, as well as we discuss gaming's past, present, and future. Nintendo, I almost said Dual Screens. I almost said it, Andy.
You really did, yeah.
I almost said it. I almost said Nintendo. Dual Screens Gamescast posts each and every Monday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and of course on DualScreens.com. And every single Sunday night, we will be streaming live on twitch.tv/Dual Screens Streams. If you are a iTunes or Apple Podcast listener, please consider leaving us a review. It helps the show out tremendously. On the same feed each and every Thursday, we will be posting the Dual Screens podcast, which is an interview show where we bring on an industry guest to tell us their story. Everyone in the gaming industry, be it a programmer, an artist, a voice actor, has a story to tell, and we give them the platform to do so. And again, that posts each and every Thursday on those same very platforms. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producer, Colton, the apprentice Nestler. We cannot continue to grow without your support, Colton, and the rest of our patrons, so thank you so much. And remember, folks, for as little as $1, you get access to our VIP Discord, where you can talk with us, the industry dev guests that we have on the show, each other. It's a great place to hang out, and you get a bonus episode each and every single month. And for various tiers, you get all sorts of other fun stuff. All right, so before we get into the news and we get into all that fun stuff, let's talk about what we've been playing, Andy. Let's start with you. What have you been playing these days?
Ooh, so I made a resolution for 2020, and that was to finish all of my Switch games.
Interesting.
Very ambitious. So I am about halfway through Luigi's Mansion 3, and
Nice.
it is so much fun. It makes me question things though, because it's a it's a ghost hunting game,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm asking about these ghosts, like their lives. What were they before they were not ghosts?
Right.
It's strange how there's like ghost chefs and ghost musicians. They can hold things. They have appetites. They eat. I don't know. I'm overthinking it too much, but it's just I'm very inquisitive when it comes to these kind of things. But I'm enjoying the game a lot, and there's a little dog companion.
Um,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
is Ken playing with your Guigi?
No, he's not Guigi, unfortunately.
Not playing with your Guigi.
Because I
Got
might
it.
yell at him, and I don't want that to happen.
Got it.
Plus, I'm
Understood.
still getting over the flu, and I'm a little bit more irritable than lately. So I don't
Right.
want to invite a fight when I want help getting my tea made and my meals served to me.
Right.
So
Understood.
I don't want to be an asshole.
Mhm.
Wait till I'm feeling all the way better for that.
So
What about you?
I've outside of obviously Apex Legends, which I play very very much. I started Death Stranding. I am up to chapter 3, or like just got to chapter 3. Just basic thoughts on that. I like almost everything except for the combat scenarios that they kind of I feel, and you've actually said this in a pre-show. It feels like the combat is a second thought. It's
Hmm.
like it's kind of just there because they probably thought, oh well, people are gonna ask what they're gonna wonder why there's no fighting or no combat or something like that. So
Right.
like I feel like that's a little bit okay, kind of little poop poop, but I don't think you're gonna find anywhere anytime soon a game that is that has better capture, like character capture, acting, motion capture, directing, cinematography in the game. Like, I know it's not really cinematography, but like the direction of the game, the way the scenes play out is second to none. Um, Reminds me of what I loved about Metal Gear, to be honest with you. But the other game that I actually just started today was I started Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Fighters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It
That is an
was
odd
like
choice for you. I don't
it was
see
on
that
sale
coming
for
out of you.
$13
Uh-huh.
on the PSN, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I love Dragon Ball Z. I suck at fighting games, but I could hold my own against the computer on like medium in like most Marvel vs. Capcom games.
I can attest to your fighting game skills firsthand, and I
Right,
agree with you 100%.
right. So this is a MVC style, combo based button masher. It's not really too deep as far as I'm sure it really is. But I played a bunch of that really today. Actually, last night I started, and then today I played a little bit more. A ton of fun. Um, and Yeah, that's basically that. Those are the triple A's that I've been playing on my Switch. Obviously, I've been playing Pokemon back and forth. I know you've also been playing Pokemon, dabbling with that a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, so those are the big time games we're playing. But it wasn't gonna go away, Andy. I wasn't gonna get rid of it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Nandies of the Week. It's time, Andy. I want to know your indies of the week. Have you been playing any fun indie games lately?
Like again, I was going through the Switch catalog, my library of downloaded games, and I just finished Shovel Knight King of Cards prior to starting up Luigi's Mansion 3.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I also finished all the way through Blasphemous as well.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm trying to be good and really attack the backlog a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many games that are just sitting there on my consoles, just gathering dust, and I hate it because it's money first that I've spent on games, and it's good games that I haven't been playing,
Right.
and we have a stacked year ahead of us, so I
We
don't
do.
want to try to not because if I don't play them now, they're not going to get played ever. I feel so.
Right.
Shovel Knight King of Cards. I think it's the last of the King of Cards. So it's the Shovel Knight kind of expansion story
God,
like
we can only hope.
DLC. Yeah, until Shovel Knight Dig is it the first proper like sequel to come out this year. And yeah, the game was a lot of fun. You play as an asshole king who's
Sure.
power hungry, and yeah, that's all done. And of course, Blasphemous is my little Metroidvania kind of side scrolly as well. So it's a fun game. It's bloody as hell. It's very graphic, a lot of religious themes and undertones, which I like and I appreciate. Uh, but yeah, it's a little 2D sprite action. That's how I like my indie games.
Awesome sauce. You are the boss.
Hmm.
I have not been playing any indie games because I've been trying. So aside from those, like I want to get through some games here, and the Dragon Ball thing was an impulse, and I'm
It
gonna put it
feels
to the
like it
side.
was.
I'm gonna
I
put it
don't
to
get
the
it.
side. Listen,
I don't get
I'm
it.
gonna put it to the side. It was just this thing that I was like
I am
$13.
I am
I can't
so
pass that up.
I'm so shocked by that. I'm
I
really
know.
taken aback because I don't see you playing fighting games. Like
I
like
am the Prince of all
like
Saiyans. Come on,
maybe
you know what I mean?
Mortal Kombat, you have a little bit of a you're drawn to that, I think, a little bit. Maybe.
I'm a huge.
Well,
I
like you don't talk
love
about
Dragon Ball
Street Fighter,
Z.
you don't talk about Fatal Fury or King of Fighters. You're not
No,
a fighter.
but you know what? I modded my PS1 so I could play Dragon Ball Z Final Fight, a Japanese release.
Right. Now
I
watch, I'll
did.
be saying I'll be playing Madden 2K20 next week. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
right. Yeah, right.
I'm playing some Madden.
Um All right, it is time to get into the dual screens report. Now, this is how this is going to work, ladies and gentlemen. We are taking the big three companies, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, and then there's going to be a wild card story that is going to make up the four stories. And then at the end of that, we are going to debate and kind of decide who is the winner of the week and who is the loser of the week. There's no in between. We're not ranking this. It's just winner and loser. The biggest loser, the biggest winner of the week. This is based on us doing kind of research throughout the week, seeing which stories were the ones that a lot of the people were talking about it, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook, and then we're going to sit here and just kind of go over them. So leading off here is going to be, if it will open, there it goes. We have Nintendo is going to lead it off here, and this is coming from Nintendo Soup. Emily Rogers claims there are at least 2 more unannounced Wii U ports coming to the Switch. Obviously, this is a rumor, but this was going crazy. Industry insider Emily Rogers, the leaker who correctly predicted Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, has shared some new details she heard about the Switch's lineup in 2020. According to Rogers, there are at least 2 unannounced Wii U ports in the pipeline for the Switch, in addition to the already revealed Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE and Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Fans are currently speculating of the unannounced ports to be Pikmin 3 and Super Mario 3D World, although more unexpected picks like Wonderful 101 and Star Fox Zero are also possible. And that's kind of where I want to stop there. So go to Nintendo Soup if you want to read the rest of that article. This is interesting. What do you think this could be, Andy?
It's going to be.
Actually, first, do you think we need more Wii U port? Are there Wii U games that we should have ported over to the Switch?
Well, I feel like if this is true, it's going to kind of confirm a fear of mine that Nintendo has not a lot of stuff, I think. Big things for 2020. I doubt we're going to get Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 this year. We're not getting Metroid Prime 4. Pokemon's out the door. We'll get Smash characters, sure. Animal Crossing, while it's great, I don't think it's like a huge thing for most Nintendo fans. I don't know. I feel like on the level of a Pokemon or Mario or like a Link game, I feel Animal Crossing falls in that Kirby, Metroid, F-Zero kind of category. Like, it's great. It's not like a system seller or like even a great seller. I
think because the what was it, New Leaf was it New Leaf, was the 3DS one?
See, this is why I'm not a huge Animal Crossing fan.
Yeah, so the 3DS one kind of built the 3DS one kind of built a American audience for that game that hadn't been there prior, and now that the Switch is the handheld essentially, I think this is going to be the best-selling Animal Crossing, and I think it could be it could be a system seller for the spring.
Listen, I don't think there's an issue with Nintendo selling any systems. I mean, they're already
doing
pretty well for themselves as it is.
No, of course not. But every AAA Nintendo published title is designed to sell systems to somebody.
Right.
So there's something for everyone. That's what Nintendo does so well, is that there's something for everyone. I think personally, we're not getting Breath of the Wild 2 next year, and I think one of these is going to either be a Skyward Sword port, or possibly or possibly a Wind Waker HD port.
I'll take Wind Waker over Skyward Sword, to be honest.
I would much rather it, but at the same time, I've played Wind Waker and I wasn't too fond of it back then. But again, I haven't played this since the GameCube.
It's like one of the best Zelda games ever made.
I know. It just didn't grab me. But I didn't even give 2 waggles to the 2 Wii.
So Twilight Princess?
Zeldas. Twilight Princess.
I thought that was more of a GameCube.
I waggled and waggled and waggled, and I was like, this is crap.
To me, that will always be a GameCube game. Twilight
and then
Princess.
I waggled for Skyward Sword, right? Because that was on.
Yeah.
That was a Wii to the Wii U. So
the Wii U, yeah.
I don't. I just if they could give a Twilight Princess Skyward Sword, strip the waggle out of it, give us just a straight control with a controller.
The thing is, like, what else really is there? You got Pikmin 3 is a possibility.
That was one of the options. Yeah.
Star Fox Zero. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Like,
but it could. I mean, there was the Metroid Prime trilogy, right? Didn't that come out for the HD trilogy? Didn't it?
Was that on the Wii?
That came out to the Wii U too, I think.
Oh,
it had the gyro controllers, didn't it? Didn't it have the gyro where you're like going around with the gamepad like this and shooting things? I'm pretty sure it did. Chat, you could correct us if we're wrong on that one. I'm pretty sure it did, but that would technically count as a Wii U port.
I would love to see a Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 bundle. Do that instead.
That would be cool.
Do some Wii games.
That would be cool.
There are much better Wii games than there were Wii U games, so maybe don't do those ports. If you're gonna lean into ports to kind of like pad your releases for the year, maybe
Mm,
some Wii games. I would do that instead. So many
right.
better options. Mad World. Release Mad
Mad.
World.
I was just thinking
Like
Mad World too.
totally
Yeah.
blow it out the water and to fuck with all of our heads that just release Mad World HD.
But you know what? They do need that. They do need some of that more adult targeted, teen angst targeted games. I mean, they have No More Heroes 3 coming, I guess, next year. That's what he says, right?
You know,
What was
I'm
it?
I'm
March,
I'm
April,
really
April, I think.
shocked that your Nintendo news bit wasn't the whole like what was his name? Kamiya saying that the Switch home menu was a piece of shit.
We all know that. It's not really news. Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't call that news. All right, so that's the Nintendo store lead story. Now we're gonna get into the next one. We're gonna do is PlayStation. There is a new DualShock patent that was leaked and found and dug up and all that fun stuff. So this is coming from IGN. Sony patents new PlayStation controller design with a new feature. Sony received patent approval for this is approved, not just applied for, approval for a new DualShock controller earlier this week. The patent was discovered by the World Intellectual Property Organization database that features at least one visibly identifiable new feature. As reported by Polygon, the patent for the new DualShock was approved on December 26th. The front of the controller is similar to the existing PlayStation 4 DualShock, also known as the DualShock 4. I said that. But it also differs from the new PlayStation controller patent that was uncovered in November. As you remember, that one had I forget what it was that made it different. It had it was slightly it was like slightly bigger or whatever it was, and that it had some I don't know something weird. But there's no PlayStation Home button on the new patent, so none of that big PS Home button, none of that in there. So that was omitted. But the biggest change is on the back of the controller. The new design adds two back triggers to the controller, unlike the new accessory that just came out. You remember they were just announced the $30 accessory coming out this month that adds the back triggers. This is going to be a controller with the back triggers. Now, and that's where I'm going to stop there. So you can go to IGN and find that article if you'd like. I will put, for those of you who are watching live, I'll put it in the chat for you to follow along, follow the bouncing ball. So to me, I mean, I think the back paddles are pretty obvious at this point. I think if you're stripping out things like gyro bullshit and back touch, well, they didn't have that, but like the LED light, if you get rid of that nobody wanted, just make a simple little indicator light. If you're going to remove certain things, I think the things that we should have are those back triggers, both for accessibility and because the pro controller market, the elite controller market does that already. But I think this now validates, at least what my opinion of the accessory being, is that this is for forward compatibility. I think that accessory is so that you can still use your DualShock 4, your DualShock 4 for your PS5, and now the PS5 is going to come with a controller that's basically a DualShock 4 with that little attachment to it. So that's what I think that it totally is all about.
I like how you now, instead of having the option of do I need to buy an Elite controller, you just have it out the box. Like
Exactly,
everyone
exactly.
an Elite. Because for me, I don't really care for what an Elite or a Pro controller offers. I'm not a competitive gamer, but
Right.
having it as part of the default controller is kind of a nice option. Like, sure, I can get down
I
with
mean,
that.
a lot of those controllers are like exactly. A lot of those
Yeah.
controllers though are upwards of $200.
Right.
Like if the DualShock 4 is still a $60 controller, that's wonderful. I think they could get away with 70. DualShock 5, I mean, they could get away with 70 since the Switch is doing $80 for a pair of Joy-Con. But I think there's still things that separate this from an Elite. Like the Elites, some of them have adjustable panels that could do the tension. You could
Right.
change the tension of the
Yeah, this
triggers.
won't be
You could
as
swap out the D-pad. Like
yeah.
there's other, there's stuff like that.
Right. But you think they've never put out a bad controller, Sony. Like the DualShock at its core
The six
was
axis was
always
terrible.
yes, was yeah.
The six axis was like playing with the bootleg controller that you gave your cousin that you didn't want playing
Well,
your
I
game with you.
mean, listen. When we had things like the OG Xbox controller or the Dreamcast controller, the six axis wasn't that bad. All right. It wasn't that bad. It was.
It, yeah, I
It
guess when
was.
you're
It was
comparing it
that or
like
the
that.
that or the fucking boomerang. So I think we lucked out on that one. Okay, so
I don't know how
knock the
they
six axis too
that.
much.
Can we talk about the fact that the boomerang was an actual promotional material? That was in promotional
Dude, it was
PlayStation
in.
material.
It was they unveiled it. It was at E3. It was on a stage, and people just had a full blown riot.
That was almost as bad as the Wu-Tang controller, but the
Oh,
Wu-Tang controller was at least
stop it!
ironic.
But look, we've had the Wii U gamepad. When you talk about a bad controller,
Oh my god.
so
Can, oh,
listen, they've always been, I think, steady with their design. It's consistent. It's uniform. It's what we're all used to. And the DualShock 4, it took what made the earlier iterations great and made it even
right.
better. So adding a bit the little back buttons, I think, is a great touch. But I also think, like, when it comes to patents, it's these things are likely just kind of there. They're not always true, you
Mm.
know. And I think it's like a clever way of like staying in the news a bit for PlayStation. Like, we'll throw some patents out
Yeah, I
there.
guess.
We'll get
Yeah.
some free press, some headlines. Why not?
I just feel like that's where these controllers are going.
But you know what, Steven?
What's up?
Tomorrow, the day this comes out, this podcast recording is CES.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony has some stuff planned, I think, for tomorrow.
Yes.
There's a whole
Yes.
like the future is coming or some future bullshit kind of slogan they got going around for CES. And there's a lot of rumor of PS5 things being shown off in some
Mm.
way.
They got to show the box, Andy.
Right. Well, they don't really show anything on the gaming side at CES
Mm-hmm.
historically. So it'll be a big change of pace for them, but maybe I'll get a little controller glimpse. You never know. But the
I
missing
think
home button thing
CES
seems kind of weird to me.
Consumer Electronic Show, right? Electronic Show,
Right.
that's what it's called.
Right.
That is the play. Like they can get away with showing the box. They don't have to show a game. They don't. They show the box and a controller next to it, just like the Xbox Series X reveal.
Yeah.
Do a little sizzle guy and say, "Here's the box.
I would
More
no
coming
fuck
at
the box. I would have shown.
PlayStation Experience coming next month." You know,
I
like
would like maybe show a game trailer or something, or like show a load time, or do like here's Spider-Man on PS5, what it looks like, or that kind of
mm,
thing, or maybe formally announce like this whole like backwards compatibility thing is like the rumors are flying off the shelves. I feel that it's going to be PS1, 2, 3, and 4 fully BC on PS5.
mm,
But now we're getting off topic of this controller. So
right.
this is
Well,
what happens when we open the gates of other game console discussion on the podcast.
no, I get it. I
My
get it.
mind's going a mile a minute, and I'm really
These things
excited
happen.
about it. But let's go
Speaking
to a
of
less exciting topic to discuss.
Yeah. Speaking of the other consoles,
Right.
Xbox had a huge announcement that GTA 5 is now a part of the Xbox Game Pass. And normally I would not really give a shit about Game Pass, but there is something to be said to a game that has sold, I think it's upwards of 150 million copies at this point. It's probably more by now. It is a last gen, not even the PS5. This is a 360 PS3 game that still has some of the longest and strongest legs of any game ever made, and it now is part of this free this service, this free game service, free game, in air quotes. Um, Xbox. What this proves to me is that Xbox is willing to spare no expense on what they put on Game Pass, because I cannot imagine Rockstar was cheap. I
Mm-mm.
can't imagine they said, "Oh yeah, no
Mm-mm.
problem, you could take it for a couple mil."
Hell
No,
no.
they're not. They're still selling 1 million
That's the
copies
thing.
a month.
This game was one of the top selling games on Steam in 2019.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's at this point, it's like you have to make up all those sales. So listen, we'll give you the game, but it ain't gonna be cheap, buddy. And I feel like with this announcement, this is this is Microsoft's true next gen platform. It's not this. It's not Series X. It's Games Pass. This is
Hmm.
what they're going to be pushing the most. This is the service you have to have. It's not the console. It's this um, subscription service.
Right.
And if you got a good PC, then you're good to go. Or you want to buy a cheaper thing with the Series X. Hopefully, it won't be that expensive, but it's all about bolstering that deal and make it as alluring and enticing as possible.
Right.
Which, you know, I really wonder what they would, if this would even exist, if Microsoft was in Sony's place this generation, you know?
Well, looking through the chat here, Mr. Badbit said that Sony holds Destination PlayStation every February for retailers. He could see the PlayStation show the box and specs at CES, and then more info coming the next month. But he also, hold on, there's something else he said. Oh, and he also said that he thinks GTA 5 just left PS Now.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. If somebody could check that out for us to make sure, because if that's the case, then this isn't as big a deal. But like, but PS Now is, I would say, barely half as good as Game Pass in its
The
general
second the
offerings.
second they added the whole download game option, it became a lot better. I want to say
Yes, it was better, but it was still it
the only cripple
play.
is you can't play the PS3 games. You can't download them. The
Yes,
only thing
right,
that holds that service back from being great.
right. To me, Sony Sony's services like PS Now and PS Plus are behind the way the Xbox One was behind hardware and first party
Hmm.
title wise
Hmm.
in this generation. Like there was three things you could focus on, right? Services, your first party games and your hardware.
Hmm.
Sony came out and said, "Here's the hardware," and it was better than the Xbox One. Xbox One was at 960 frames, and they were at 1080 and 60
And it was
frames,
cheaper.
and it was cheaper. And here's all our banger first party
Right.
games that everybody just ate up
And
like
all
Cookie
the
Monster
third
eats
party
cookies.
support that came with.
Right, and all the third party support, and just, I mean, they're more than double. They're approaching three times the
They have
sales
more than half
of
the market
the
share.
Xbox One. Exactly. Um, but where Xbox succeeded eventually, it took them about 18 months. But where they succeeded was the revamping of their services. They made that as attractive as possible, and then they came out with the Xbox One X, which is more powerful than PlayStation's most powerful console. But I still think to this day that the Xbox One X was put out there so that they can tell people that the services is what you're buying. The boxes will be there, but they're not going to matter as much. But I promise we could still make a kick-ass box.
Right. That was always my hunch. Like it wasn't. I think they realized they couldn't really compete in the console space as well as Sony or Nintendo does, because there's something about the Sony brand is just way too strong globally. And when
Mm,
they were beaten by Sony here in their home turf, I think it set them back a ways. Like if you
mm,
look over the last 3 years, the Switch has outsold the Xbox One globally in 2019 in compared to Xbox One in 2016, 17, and 18, 19 combined. That's
right.
that's a huge deal. Now, yes, it's cheaper, but when your successor console sells about half as its predecessor, something is not quite right there. Now you can
Mm-hmm.
say the games were a big part of it. Again, that price tag, the early bad PR that really kind of hindered Xbox One in a lot of ways. Getting that trust back on a global scale is going to be rough for Microsoft, at least to get them to buy their new console. But I think pushing Games Pass is the way to go for them. They'll make their money on that service more, I feel, than they will on the console in
Mm.
going forward.
All right. Moving on to our wild card topic. This one's a pretty big one. This is also coming from IGN. Respawn CEO takes over Dice LA, plans studio name change and unannounced game. Respawn Entertainment CEO and co-founder will soon be taking on a new role under the EA umbrella as head of Dice LA. The change will happen in 2020, and Zampella says a studio name change and unannounced game are already in the cards. Quote, under Zampella, there are plans to expand and launch an original, as yet unrevealed game, the LA Times reports. Quote, the company will remain separate from Respawn, and Zampella says, likely will drop the DICE name. It is unknown at this time what DICE LA will be renamed as. The studio has often served as a support studio for DICE in Stockholm, Sweden, where the company was originally founded. Zampella says that the new studio name, he wants to give the developer a new image. We want people to say, this is a destination you can go and make new content. As for Respawn, Zampella is still head of the studio. However, the different branches of Respawn are going to be overseen by different members of the leadership team. Scrolling down a little bit more, Sig Amundsen, director of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, will oversee the narrative-driven branch. Apex Legends will be overseen by Chad Grenier. I think that's how you say it, Grenier. And Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, the new VR game, is being overseen by Peter Hirschman. Respawn had a banner year in 2019. In February, the company surprise released the Battle Royale shooter Apex Legends. Woot woot, game of the year for me. The studio then followed up by releasing the single-player Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order in November. So there you go. This is big. I mean, EA. You know, we could sit here and make fun of EA all the time, right?
How soon can we have him take over EA and write that ship?
That would be nice, wouldn't
be
it?
A thing? Give it a year's time.
That would be nice. Let me tell you the power of Zampella. Let me tell you the influence. Okay.
I'm waiting.
What was it? Was it the Game Awards last year? Not this past one, but the one before. No, it wasn't the Game Awards. It was the show that Andrea Renee also hosted. She did the interviews in what was that? Was that E3?
Potentially, I'm not really sure.
I forget
Maybe.
what it was. I think it was one. I think it was the EA thing at E3.
Regardless,
He was hosting this thing.
Regardless,
he was in the audience. They're like, "Oh, here is and what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, doing Star Wars, and it's great, and it's going to be great. It's a single player, and it's going to be wonderful." And everybody was like, "Yeah!" They knew nothing about it. But for some reason, this guy is like Midas with his mouth.
But was it more like him saying that, or just the fact that we were getting a single-player Star Wars that wasn't a shitty Battlefront game?
I think it was. I think
if Battlefront didn't suck so much donkey balls, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Yes, he does carry influence. You know, back from the Activision days, he was a big deal back then. He's earned this. I hope he leaves, Respawn in a good place. And they can kind of guide and build on their success of Fallen Order and Apex Legends and all that. But yeah, this is a great move for him. I feel he more than deserves it, and I'm excited about what they'll release under his leadership. Super excited.
I'm hoping he is still. This seems like a step up and a natural climb to run the show over there. I think it's natural.
He definitely has a better vision for what a game should be and what a game as a service should be. And I feel hopefully he can kind of reshape EA's thinking around that in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's exciting times. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Very excited. All right.
Also,
so
they're kind of copying us now. They're gonna rebrand.
Right.
It's like
real nice.
We just did that.
Why don't you get an original idea,
guys?
Vince Zampella? And if you ever want to come on the Dual Screens podcast, please just let us know. We would love to have you. All right, so those are your 4 stories here. We have Nintendo with the 2 new Wii U ports, possibly coming to the Switch. PlayStation patenting a new DualShock. Xbox having GTA 5 on Game Pass, and the wild card, Vince Zampella taking over DICE LA. What do you think is who's the winner? What do you think is the winner of the 4 stories here?
I think I'll give it to the wild card.
Yeah.
Nothing beats a good personal story. The rest are kind of like, oh, we got a patent. Oh, there's Wii U games. Oh, GTA 5, it's 2 gens old. Yeah, I get it, but this is like seeing someone succeed and kind of climb the ladder and seeing recognition That warms my heart.
Mm.
Plus the potential for greatness for what he will do now at whatever dice will be called going forward. It kind of outweighs whatever the possibility of a Pikmin 3 port coming to Switch or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Personally, I'm very excited for. I just want to know anything about the PS5. So like the whole DualShock thing really excites me, but I do also have to give this to the wild card as well. I think Vince Zampella is one of my favorite people to follow in gaming. I think his resume is excellent, and I think this is a bigger news story for gaming in general. The biggest loser um, for this week, I think it's going to be probably the Wii U ports. I think Nintendo just not having really anything really kind of sparking a conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had there was a couple of like more Switch Pro rumors, but they were not from
Yeah, but those
somebody in
happen
the
so
industry.
often,
They
I
were
feel.
I know, and they were
It's every other month
analysis
those come
people.
out.
Yeah, and this is somebody like, oh yeah, it's got to happen. Based on their financials, it's the perfect time to do it. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean it's happening. That's not a rumor.
Right.
That's just you
Yeah,
guessing.
you're speak speculative right there. That's all it really
Yeah.
is.
So I think Nintendo is probably the loser this week. They weren't in the news in a great way as far as what I can tell.
I feel like with what's going on with Sony and Microsoft, and just
Mm,
like the powerhouse consoles in 2020, you got your Final Fantasy 7, you got your Cyberpunk. I feel Nintendo is going to get lost a little bit. Um, and again, without games like Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4 or Bayonetta 3, for that matter, they're going to get lost in
yeah.
the mix of things. And for them to retain any kind of headline is going to be a struggle. So yeah, if this is all they can offer going in 2020, is like there's a new rumor of like there's some Wii U ports. Yeah, great. The system that was outsold like with less than a year by the
Mm,
Switch.
yeah.
Like, great. Bring more of that, please.
All right. So let's go into the chat here before we move on to the hype zone, which I don't have one. So, um,
Great job on the doc, by the way.
yeah, I didn't have a hype zone. I
Really
apologize. So
half-assed it.
there's no hype zone this week because this whole weekend snuck up on us. So let's go to the chat here. All right. So we got Buzz Killington talking about Game Pass like it's the second coming of Christ. We
Yeah,
know.
that's
Uh,
that's
Mr. Nuff says PS Now is a mess. I'm really hoping that Sony makes it more like Game Pass. Indeed.
yeah,
Let's scroll down.
yes and no. Yes and no.
Mm,
I don't think Sony should put their first party stuff like day one on that service. They don't need to.
mm,
They don't need to.
yeah.
Like if their stuff was like a Crackdown, I get it. If it's
Right.
Crackdown 3, then fine. But you ain't putting no God of War sequel or Spider-Man sequel on a Games Pass like service. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
will sell on their own. Um,
Yeah.
if it's more of the indie games, I get that. Totally fine.
Sure.
Um, or again, if the PS5 can truly play all the back catalog, have the PS Now be able to download PS3 games off of the
Mm,
catalog because they have a massive library, but
yeah.
you just can't play the old. I mean, you can, but you can't stream it. Well, you can only stream it, which sucks.
Right.
Like I killed for MGS from Metal Gear Solid 4 again without digging the PS3 out. I love that.
Yeah.
No.
Bad Bit says Zampella's influence in EA has grown significantly since the buyout bought out. They were bought out, I guess.
It's the button out.
Yeah, the bought out. They were the bottoning. I think we're going to see him and other EA studios drop things like Frostbite pretty fast, like we saw with Apex and Jedi.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's got to
yeah,
happen.
I see that. Yeah, that's not the
He also
engine.
says, "See, I really think CES is going to be more like PlayStation catalog coming to PC." Is his bet.
That's a nice, interesting little theory. Okay.
Uh, and our Patreon producer Colton Nessler says, "I want some new laptop innovations at CES because he's a big fucking nerd." What a nerd!
Look at that little nerdlinger.
What a nerd!
So, Steven, is that all for the chat?
That's for the we're all caught up with the chat. Yep.
Okay, so there's no hype zone,
Okay, that's fine.
and we did mention Retro Game Club is expanding
We
to
did.
other systems,
Mm-hmm.
and I think to set some ground rules, I have a game. Okay,
What do you, wait,
but
hold on. What do you mean you have a game? You
I
have
have a game.
for the
I
Retro
have a
Game
game.
Club?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But we're not playing like we used to.
Oh.
I really feel like the early days of Retro Game Club, it
Hmm.
was we said a few things, and then it was more about talking about the game itself.
Right.
Then it sort of went out of control and devolved
Right, because we
into
couldn't figure out how to play a
let's
game in 5 days.
let's try to fuck with each other
Right.
with shitty games and obscure clues.
Sure.
So two things I want to say. The first thing is I feel when you're talking about retro games when it comes to including Sony and Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
I think PS1, PS2 should be the limit. We can't go past those
Well, yeah,
consoles.
that's GameCube. That's the
Right.
same family.
And all we're really saying is what? Halo from and Halo 2 from Microsoft.
KOTOR, Jade Empire.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So mainly Halo. So I decided to pick a game,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of making a list of jerky clues designed to fuck with you, I just wrote a single clue. I wrote a single clue that I think you should be able to get, and I want you to get the game, and we can actually talk about the game for more than 2 seconds.
Interesting. On next week's show.
Okay. Yeah, or even now for that matter. And actually play the game for a bit and revisit it next week, like we used to back in the
Right.
day.
Right.
So I feel like there shouldn't be like a trivia point system anymore.
Okay.
I feel like we'll just have a fun little clue, and because I want to come into this segment not feeling stress or anxiety, I want to come from a place of warmth and comfort and just and
Now,
nostalgia.
okay. I
You
I
know?
get it. I get it.
Right.
And I'm all for it. But
Right.
I
But
know exactly why you're doing this.
why?
Because you can't cheat on camera.
Oh, I could totally cheat on camera. I totally can.
It's because you are now going to be seen cheating. And
Wait, how
believe
about
me,
this?
I've
Give me a
had
clue.
anxiety about it too, because every once in a while I'm like, fuck, I have no idea what this is. And I'd be like, boop, 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 scroll, no clue. I have no fucking clue. Because your clues are the worst. There's no
No, you're
way
not
I
bad at your
can't
clues.
Google your shit. It's impossible.
as
So
your
I
clues.
gave up. I gave up like 76 episodes ago. I was like, there's no point in me trying to cheat. Because
Right.
his
So
clues
there's
suck.
no point. If there's no point, let's kind of bring this back to what it's supposed to be.
It's celebrating
It's
the
a
retro games.
club talking about retro games.
I got it. All right. All right. I'm down.
All
I'm down
right.
for this. I'm down for
Okay.
this.
All right.
Okay. So before we get into that, we do have some.
Oh, we have a sponsor.
We have
Sponsor?
we have mailbag next, and then we have Retro Game Club.
There's a meal?
Yes, man. Before we get into the mail, let me tell you about our sponsor, MeltedPins.com.
Yeah, baby.
About half of you in this chat right now know about Melted Pins. That's Kelsey Lind, kind of funny best friend, kind of NYC. We love her. And she does original tattoo art inspired pins, buttons, stickers, and canvas bags, and t-shirts, and all that fun, crazy shit. Get on there. Go to meltedpins.com and use the checkout code NDSMelted, and you will get 10% off of your purchase. That's right. Simple. It's simple. If you want to support a small business, a local artist, and a best friend, and somebody who we love and does art for us and is currently working on some merch for us right now, some stuff for us, because she's awesome,
She is.
meltedpins.com, checkout code NDSMelted, and you get 10% off of your purchase. And you can follow Melted Pins at Melted Pins on Twitter and Instagram. And now it is time to get into our mailbag. Our first question comes from Mike Kirsch from our Discord, and is also in this chat. Hey, Andy and Steve. Coming into the new year, it's customary for people to set some new goals that they want to achieve over the next 12 months. I'm not particularly fond of New Year's resolutions because I'm perfectly capable of setting goals at any time of the year, and most New Year's resolutions end badly anyway. Well said. However, I have been thinking about the upcoming year in games and decided it could be fun to see what I could accomplish. For example, I've got 3 or 4 backlog games that I'd like to compete, and for that I say 3 or 4?
I wish it was that low. I wish it was that fucking low a
I
number.
have
Three or
I have
four.
3 or 4 on that shelf
You
alone.
know what? You know what, Mike Kirsch? You can leave the Discord, cancel your Patreon subscription.
Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that. I intend on buying several games that are releasing this year, and if finances shake out, I'd like to buy a PS5 at launch. So my question for you is, what kind of goals are you hoping to achieve in games in 2020?
Oh, in games. Well, I did mention trying to play all my Switch games this year
Mm,
because I feel like of all of my PlayStation 4 games and 3 games and my PC games, the least amount of games I have are on the Switch.
okay. Now,
And
uh,
most indie games are already done,
a
which
few
is great.
a few things here concern me.
Tell me.
The first being, we did a Nintendo podcast for 133 episodes, and that
We
was your
did.
least played and least amount of games
No, 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 no.
system.
Let me put it in perspective. When it comes to like first party games, also games that I've finished. Like I finished Odyssey, Breath of the
Sure,
Wild,
sure.
Mario Party, Let's Go Pikachu. So like I can finish like Fire Emblem, I can finish
Oh man,
Sword
nobody
and
could finish Fire Emblem.
Shield.
And if you finish Fire Emblem, God bless.
There aren't beast games on the Switch that I own. Like I didn't buy Witcher 3 for Switch. You know what I'm saying? Or Persona 5 isn't on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So the games that I have won't take that long to finish. Like Bayonetta 2, which I got, and 1 for that matter. Again, Fire Emblem. So like getting all those just done, just so I can validate all those purchases for
Mm.
once and for all. Because I feel it'll be the easiest route to go. Because if I was to try to attack my PS4 games, that backlog is just overwhelming. So maybe I can make a dent in that before FF7 comes out. I feel more confident in doing the Switch games.
So my gaming resolution for 2020, I have
Gaming goal. We'll call it a
gaming
gaming
goal.
goal. Yeah.
Uh, I my number one is to finish the games I started,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them, a lot of the older ones, like the ones I want to finish.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go
I can't
out
do
and
that.
finish every game because some games just aren't good, and I don't want to do it. But I want to finish Horizon still. I want to finish Days Gone. I want to finish, and these are the older games. Days Gone. Oh, that was just last year. Um, I want to finish The Witcher 3 finally, but that's going to take me forever also. No matter how much I do in that game, I still have 60 hours to go. No matter what. Um like I want to do that. I still want to finish Doom. I kind of fell off of Doom. I didn't really like it that great, but I think I should go back in and give it another chance. Um and of course I want to finish all of the great games from the second half of this year of 2019, or like the last 4 months were insane. Just insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have so many of those games to catch up on. So yes, it is going to be the backlog, and I think I'm going to put 10 games on my backlog list.
That's a good
And
round number to go. We'll go
yeah,
with.
and it's going to be all AAA games because there are too many indie games. I play too many of them. I get a code.
Well, because we have to, and
Right,
they just accessibility wise, they're right there.
right.
They're not as long.
But
They're
even
great
so, like I could play
to
10
go.
hours of an indie game and say I've gotten enough out of this
Like
game.
I
Like
get it.
I
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
I have to move on
it's
because
kind of
I have
enough.
3 more codes sitting in my inbox that I have to do
Bad enough
something
for you,
with.
Baba, is you. Moving on.
Right. Yeah, Baba, thank you. Or like Knight's Quest. Like that was a pretty good game, but I had to move on. So I moved on. But again, the biggest deterrent to my backlog is Apex Legends and Mike Kirsch. They're my two
Right. I think
biggest.
that's why I don't play online games. And you're trying to suck me into with that shit? How dare you? How dare you,
I
sir?
mean, the purpose of playing the games is to have fun,
Like
right?
maybe I'll get back on what you call it again, Iceborne for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, but
That's
you
kind of
played that mostly single player anyway.
No, I didn't. I was always along with that game. Not with you, but other players.
Yeah, not with me.
I was
That's
always playing
for sure.
online.
That's for sure not with me. Next question. This is from Colton, also in the Discord, Patreon producer. Am I the only one who wants a Spore remaster / sequel? Yeah.
Spore?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Colton, you are.
No, yeah, that's gonna be a yes. Can I get the Project Spark a remake any day now? Is that happening?
So
Black and white?
I played Spore. Black and White was good. I played
I don't
Spore
care for black and white.
once
The game was the
and
one asked for.
was like, why did they make this so bad? Why was it? Why? How did? I mean, I get it. It was very ambitious, but man, that game was not good.
Did you see that game that I sent you the other day in the chat? Wanking Simulator?
No.
Okay. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay. Good.
I'd rather ask for a HD remake of that game than than Spore.
HD wanking simulator. I like it. Final question from the mailbag. This is coming from Nuff, aka Mr. Nuff, aka Matt Murray, who does our logos. If you look at that dual screens game, where is it? This way? Yeah, this way. The Gamescast logo right there. He made that for us today. Very rushed. It's gonna be fixed. It's gonna be iterated on. But
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
he was very
Great.
busy, but I like it.
He's not fired at all.
I like it, and I like him. And he's a good dude. And one day when he could be relied on to actually record things, maybe he'll join the dual screens team. You never know.
Maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
This has come from Nuff. With Microsoft strongly out of the gate for next gen already, and Nintendo increasing its unique market share with the Switch, how do you think Sony fits itself into the next gen picture? What will they bring to the table to make their system as quote must own as the PlayStation 4? Andy?
What made the PS4 the must-own console? It'll be the same exact formula for PS5.
Mm-hmm.
All those great AAA games, the God of War, the Spider-Man, the amazing third-party support. You got Yakuza 7 coming out, FF7 remake. You got fucking Last of Us. All that stuff that made PS4 amazing. Expect that. I think them being so quiet is a sign of worry for the competition because I feel Microsoft is trying to get ahead of the story. Like, here's our system, here's some games, here's our lineup, and Sony's like, yeah, we're good, bro. Like, no, we're totally fine.
I remember there was a time in the PS4 life cycle. I want to say it was like 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's like around that time where they announced a few games. I think
Mm-hmm.
that it was Uncharted 4 might have been one of them. Because that came out in 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Here's a bunch of games," and everyone's like, "Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing that." And then they were like, "And that's half of them.
Right.
There's others that we're not ready to talk about.
Right.
Half." And you were like, "What? How is that even possible?" Now, granted, a lot of them were VR titles that don't necessarily speak to me.
You know
But-
what? Iron Man VR, that speaks to me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's going.
The only thing VR does to me is make me vomit. So
Well, you're because you're a big fat puss.
my brain is broken.
But listen, this isn't a proving ground session for Sony. When the PS3 had its rough beginnings and rough middles, they had to claw their way back
Right.
to sort of not even be back on top, to just be a part of the conversation, to not be loathed by the common gamer, because PS1, PS2 were just amazing systems with amazing games. And then the PS3 came out, it was like Sony's Dreamcast. It was sort of kind of ahead of its time with the cell processor. It was hard to develop for. And then Microsoft sort of like stole it with the 360.
And it was
happened.
it was $600, and they told us to
Yeah.
get a second job. Now,
Exactly. And it had a boomerang initially.
right, but
But when you write that
Mhm.
in such a dramatic way with the PS4, which I still cannot believe it sells that well. When you talk about GTA 5 legs, PS4 legs to me is astounding. It sells so many units every week because people are still like, who's still buying it? Apparently, people do in the millions. So
Yeah.
the brand is at its strongest. And now going in, you think they're going to sit back and do nothing, dude? Like, they're seeing Microsoft buy up all these studios
Mhm.
and just shoving it all in our face. Here, we bought this one, we bought Double Fine, we bought Team Ninja, or is it Ninja Theory? I forget which one it is.
Ninja
One of
Theory.
those two. Ninja Theory. You bought that one. You bought this one. Um, it's a lot, and they they're not blind to it. So there's this sense of yes, they're doing a lot, Microsoft, but they're trying. They're fighting for a second place spot essentially in
Well, let's
this
not
race.
forget that PS3 outsold the 360 in the end.
In
So
the end, yes. Again, in the end,
they were able to right the ship even last gen.
right,
They did it,
right.
but they
They
had to
learn.
continue that
They
into this
learn.
gen.
They learn. Yeah, but there's no that fight isn't there anymore. So
Right.
the only point you can say is Sony. It's their fight to lose.
Hmm.
It's if they fuck up, they just can't. They can't be arrogant about their position in the
Right.
market. They have to keep what they do best. There's a new indie program thing with them going on now, which is great.
Hmm.
And just keep pumping out those first party games,
Pump up the jams, pump it up.
those story driven games, and they will be exactly where they are now.
Hmm.
That's how I feel about it. And also, like with PSVR 2, if that can push like the first one did, then they'll be fine. That's all they got to do.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think that they do need to kind of refine and truncate and truncate how their services work and
Mm-hmm.
mash them together and then expand it from there.
They have to adapt with things like Games Pass as well. Like they can't
Yeah.
let that steal the conversation entirely. Like
Yeah.
you can rest on your laurels, but not completely. Like
And the
you
Vita
have
too.
to, right?
They need the Vita too
No,
as well. No? No, they don't?
no, they don't.
I'm sorry.
No one needs a Vita
I thought
2.
they needed a Vita too. I don't know. That's just me, maybe.
No, I mean it's still social. Maybe in Japan only. It'll be a Japan exclusive. The Vita 2.
Yeah, maybe.
It still outsells the Xbox One in Japan.
All right, that is it for the mailbag. Now it is time for the brand new, revamped Retro Game Club.
Retro Game Club. I'm excited about this. I'm so excited about
All
this.
right, so as Andy explained earlier, this is no longer going to be a trivia game. This is going to be a quick, here's a description of the game, and then I'll try and guess it. If I don't get it, whatever, it's no big deal. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the game.
Right.
All right, Andy. So hit me.
Okay.
What is your pick for this week's
Okay.
Retro Game Club video game? And folks, I think what we'll do here is what the spirit of the Retro Game Club was supposed to be. So next week, we want to get all of your questions, comments, and what you thought of the retro game. I want you to play it. Go out there if you could find it on one of these Game Pass or PS Now services, or maybe you have a retro console and you own the game already. I'm not going to tell you to get an emulator and buy it that way and download it that way. I mean, that is an option if you're a criminal and you want to go to prison. You could do that.
I think
You pirate.
that's a personal attack on me. That's what it feels like.
That's right. All right, Andy. Hit us up with the
All right,
Retro
here
Game
we go.
Club.
All right. I hope this sets the standard
Okay.
for what this little descriptor should be for this game.
Oh God. Okay. Here we
Okay.
go. Yep.
Okay. Like how detailed I'd like it to be.
Okay. Understood.
All right.
Yep.
This 1998 Squaresoft developed cinematic RPG / survival horror title chronicles the 6-day nightmare
Oh, Parasite
a-
Eve.
There you go.
Did it.
Now
I did it.
let me finish the clue. Of a New York City police officer as she attempts to stop a woman determined to destroy the human race with the power of her mitochondria.
Right. Parasite Eve, man. That one escaped me. I wasn't. I mean, I always saw the box there,
Oh my god!
but I never bought it. Never.
You're
picked it up.
missing one of the true gems on the PS1.
That's one of the games
in
that
Parasite Eve.
I'm pretty sure that if you were a brick wall, that's one of the bricks in your brick wall.
Because they could have done it like FF7 or any turn-based RPG
Mm.
with just a horror or a sci-fi backdrop,
Right.
but they didn't do that.
No.
That whole like radial kind of like dome that comes out of Aya and she targets enemies and their parts, and you can move around the battlefield to dodge and avoid attacks. The whole like recycling junk system, the item system, the magic system, the storyline, the cinematics. It was just
Seems like a
so
lot for that
it was
time.
such a great game. And it was like huge marketing campaign. It was in every magazine I felt like growing up. It was
I want to
everywhere.
say there were commercials for it during
Yeah,
wrestling.
there was. Like if people talk about what's your Christmas movie,
Okay.
like what's your Christmas game? It's fucking Parasite Eve. Because that game, and as a New Yorker, it starts off in Rock Center and then going to the opera. It's just a magical little game.
Mm.
And I miss that franchise so much. I miss
So
it.
that's PS1, PS2,
PS1, baby.
PS1. Okay.
Got that
So,
old polygon charm, the 32 bits of magic right there.
oh Jesus, here it is, baby. Here it is, showing the camera. This is a launch day. PlayStation 3, 60 gig, which I put 100 and I think I have 120 gig in there or something like that. Or like no, I have a 300. I don't know, something gig in there. There it is. This can play my PS1 games right here, Andy. This is the one. It works.
There you go.
It hasn't died on me.
Hmm.
And if I'll go out and I'll look for a copy of it. This thing is, guys, this the PS3 launch system, which I used to carry to and from the city almost every single day. This thing is heavy, dude. It's gotta be, it's gotta be close to 10 pounds, easily.
Yeah. Also, can we're talking about boomerang control. What about the design of the PS3? That was a horrible design.
They really shouldn't have done the shiny.
I don't know. I don't know what that was. Even that weird curve. I never liked it. I never liked the design. Oof. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel
Very,
like
my PS3 is very dusty though. I don't think I've turned it on since I got my PS4.
does it still work?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're positive.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it work?
All right.
I mean, it is infinitely uglier than the
I'm
PS4.
pretty sure Parasite Eve is on the PSN network. You can play it on your PS4.
Well, there's that. Also, Andy, what else there
Don't
is?
get,
Hold
don't
on,
be a
hold on.
filthy pirate. You can do that way.
I also have this.
I can't see your face
I
because
could,
I can't work at my end.
I could play it. I could play it on my PS1, which still works. That's still here. I could do that. I got all the controllers and I got all the wires for it.
Just buy it on PS4 and call it a day. You'd be
Well,
happier that way.
guys, I can only afford these things if you support us on Patreon, and that is going to bring us to the end of the show. If
Oh,
you
what
want
a
to support,
segue.
if you want to
Segue.
support this show and you want to support me playing the Retro Game Club this game this week, which is Parasite Eve, you can do so by supporting us at patreon.com/NDS podcast. And again, for as little as $1, you get VIP Discord access. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at PantsGuy. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/dual-screened-podcasts. I finally got the S on there. The 28-day probation period for fucking up the name the first time is gone. So now it is Dual Screens Podcasts. You can, again, if you're listening to this on your podcast service, head over to twitch.tv/dual-screen-streams and give us a follow and a subscription. If you have Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime, you can give us a free subscription there as well. Let's go back into the chat here. We did get some subscriptions here. We want to read them at the end of the show. Buzz Killington has resubscribed with Amazon Prime for 8 months. One Bowflex1 has subscribed with Twitch Prime. It's a first subscription there, so thank you so much, Bowflex. And Maltese has resubscribed with Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime for 9 months. So thank you so much, ladies and germs, for that. Thank you to our contributors of the show, Zazu Pitts of Sourdough Productions, for our theme song. Thank you, Matt Murray, aka Missed Enough, for our overlays and our logos. Thank you, Dan Colonna, for our original Nintendo Dual Screens logo. And this is going to be the last time we're going to thank you for that, because it is gone and dead, and it'll never be resurrected except for when we feel nostalgic and want to resurrect it, and we just give you a random ass Nintendo Dual Screens episode. Thank you, Andrew Douglas, for all of our fancy cartoon art that you see above us. He does all of that art for us. And you can follow him on social media at Angie Moto. If you want to send an email to the show, do so at feedback@ndspodcast.com. And if you want to shop, you want to buy stuff? Do you want to buy stuff that has our logos and crap on it? That's going to have more stuff on it?
Our logos on things and mugs and what have you.
Teespring.com/dualscreensshop. That's teespring.com/dualscreensshop. It's simple.
You get it right this week.
I did. Oh, no, it doesn't. Wait, that link doesn't work, guys. Hold on.
God damn it.
It is Dual Screen Shop, but apparently you have to put a hyphen between each word in Dual Screens and Shop, which is annoying. But yeah.
Oh, shit. Kingdom Hearts 3 is done for $15. God damn it.
Right? That's a problem. There's a problem. There's too many games, Andy. There's just too many games.
Plague Tale's $20, Steven.
I know. Again, patreon.com/NDS podcast. I'll buy all the games. I'll add. I'll make a brand new list of 10 games to play for the end of the year.
I have to go leave the podcast and masturbate because I just read a news bit that got me very erect.
Are you gonna put it on next week's doc?
Sure. I'll have to. But the guy that did all the art for Silent Hill, he's working on a new game.
Yeah.
And he hopes it won't be canceled. Oh my god, what is this?
What this is this has been the Dual Screens Gamescast episode 1 for the week of January 6th, 2020. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Andy, is there anything you want to tell the kids before we go?
This was a lot of fun. I'm loving this new format. I'm loving talking about all the things, all gaming things. Yeah. This is great.
Do you want to tell who's on the Dual Screens podcast this week?
Oh yeah, we spoke to Michael Forslund. That's his name, right? Foreskin?
Forslund.
Of Elden Pixels. Talking about Alwa's Legacy.
Alwa's Legacy, the sequel to Alwa's Awakening, which we had on the Nintendo Dual Screens podcast. So he's back on the show to talk about the sequel. That's a really, really good episode. But that is going up on Thursday, so keep your ears and eyes open for that. And that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Again, this has been the Dual Screens Gamescast, episode 1 for the week of January 6, 2020. Take care, and as always, please be excellent to each other.